Starting with round 1, we will do 6 single crochet in a magic ring. I will prepare my circle and the tail to come up with the magic ring. Holding the circle and tail from their intersection, putting 2 fingers of mine inside this circle. I will go inside through the circle, pull the yarn and make my first chain, completing my tail circle chain structure. Now I will start with single crochet inside this circle and tail. So going inside the circle and tail, pull a loop and close the 2 loops together. Single crochet 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Marking my first single crochet with my stitch marker, counting again 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Holding my work in one hand and holding the tail with the other, gently pulling the tail without collapsing the single crochets. This is my first round. I'm marking my stitch marker to say that I finished round 1. Let's see round 2. Here we have 6 increases to come up with 12 single crochet in the end. Undoing my stitch marker, holding my yarn and dropping the tail down from behind. Going underneath the first single crochet to pull the first single crochet of second round, and simply repeat it inside the same stitch of round 1 to complete our increase. Once the increase is ready, now I will mark the first chain or the first stitch of round 2. Now I'll continue with the increases. One and 2, going to the next stitch, 1 and 2. So I'll continue for the others. Here we are. We have finished round 2. Let's continue with round 3. In round 3, we have 1 single crochet and 1 increase following that, and we repeat this pattern 6 times to come up with 18 single crochet. Undoing our stitch marker. Now that we finish round 2, let's mark 2. And actually, when using the counter, when I do the first stitch of the round, which is the 3rd round here, I prefer to mark my stitch marker starting as 3. So let's follow this structure, let's follow this timing from now on with our marker, with our counter. So we have the first one. First one is a single crochet, and we will follow that by an increase. So usually I count these series as follows. This is 1. This is the second single crochet, which is an increase. So I count it as 2 and 3. Repeating with that style of counting. 1, continued by 2 and 3. Again, 1, 2 and 3. So I know that in every 3 chains that I make, I'm completing this cycle and starting to the next one after the count of 3. So here again, this is 1, 2 and 3. So this completes my round 3. Going to round 4, we have 2 single crochet and 1 increase. So the way I'm going to count this will be 1, 2, 3 and 4. So that after 4 stitches in 3 positions from the previous round, I'll be completing the cycle of the parentheses, and I'll repeat the same cycle 6 times to complete the full round. Starting with round 4. Marking my first chain, updating my counter to cycle to round 4. So let's count together. This is 1, 2, here comes the increase. So we counted as 3 and 4. 1, 2, 3 and 4 in the same stitch. That's a bit of a longer yarn. One, 2, 3 and 4 goes into the same stitch. 1, 2, 3 and 4. 1, 2, 3 and 4. 1, 2. Let's redo the 2. I couldn't catch all the strands of the yarn. 2. This is the last stitch, 3 and the increase, which is 4th stitch here. So here we complete our round 4. Let's see what we have here. So we have round 5, which is no increase, nothing special here. We will just repeat these 24 chains all around round 5. And let's mark it with our stitch marker. And count for round 5. Here is 23, and here comes 24. So round 5 is finished. In round 6, we are starting with black, and we will also learn now how to change colors. So in changing colors, let's come up with our black yarn. And our scissors. In changing colors, you know, we are making each single crochet in several stages, right? So we first go inside, we pull the loop, and we have 2 loops in our hook, and then we pull the 2 together with another chain. So all of these stages should be followed in order when we are changing the color, but introducing the new color should always be at the same point whenever we are changing that color. So let me tell you when doing it, because it may sound trickier than it actually is. So here we have finished the loop by pulling our final chain through the 2 loops. What we would suggest is the following. Instead of starting with the single loop, we should introduce the new color. I'm undoing this. When we already have 2 loops on our hook. So I did undo the last stitch here. So I'll do it one more time. So I'll pull through these 2 loops. And this is the moment I would suggest you to introduce your new color. So I'm holding my black yarn now. I'm leaving my working yarn of yellow. And I'll simply pull the black loop through these 2 loops. And behind my work, now I will cut my yellow yarn, the yellow working yarn. And behind my work, I'm going to tie the tail of the black to the tail of the yellow, which was the working round actually before. So I'm going to tie these 2 together so that they do not untie while I'm crocheting. You can keep it short, you can leave it, because it's going to be inside your work. And when I turn it around, now that I'm starting my round 6 with a black color, and I already have the last stitch of my round 5 with yellow color. So now I'm starting the 6th round with black. This is 1, and I will mark this with my stitch marker. You can, when crocheting, it's harder to see and count darker colors, so you may have a difficulty to see my stitches here when I finish them, but it's simply just the same structure. We will simply do 24 black single crochet for round 6. And now that we have our first stitch of the 6th round, I will mark my counter to 6. Okay, let's continue the full round of 24. We already did 10. So you'll see that my work is actually moving, is coming like a, giving a bump. So I'm just fixing it because this side is going to be my front. So I don't want my work to be like a reversed. So I want it to look like this side. Okay, now continuing. Okay, there we are. We did our round 6 and we did the first round of black. Remembering our B from the side. So this is where we are. We're almost 1/3 of the way. So round 7 is another round of 24 black single crochet. Here is the first chain of round 7. Single crochet of round 7. Okay, we did our second round. Now, second round of black, end of round 7. So round 8, we will go back to yellow. For that, remember we wanted 2 loops on our hook. So I will undo the last stitch of black. When I already have 2 loops on my hook, I will put my work down, get my scissors, cut a small tail from black, and introduce my yellow yarn again. So I'll hold my yellow yarn with a small tail, and for holding the work and the tail from behind, I will pull a loop. Again, from the back, I will hold the tail of the last black and the new yellow, and I'll tie them together with a gentle knot behind. I prefer to make 2, so I'm doing 2 knots. And again, all of these tiny pieces of yarn, I'll just put them inside. They don't hurt me. They will act like fillers. So now I'll continue with round 8 with 24 yellow single crochet. One, and marking it, updating. Oh, we forgot to do the round 7, so we are now starting with round 8. So we did the update on the counter. I counted 12, so this will be my 13. So there we are. We have done the next row with yellow. So round 9 is another all yellow round. One, marking my stitch, marking my counter. Two, this marks the 10th. Let's have a bit of working yarn. There goes the last one. So now 9 and 10 we will do another series of black for 2 rounds. So again I will undo my last stitch. Let's get ready for a color change. So we have 2 loops on our hook. Again, cutting a short tail of yellow, holding our black yarn from behind, holding the black yarn, the yellow tail and the work, and pulling a loop with black. Turning our work, tying the black and yellow to each other with 2 simple knots. Again, putting them inside. So we are ready to start round 9. One, and marking it, as well as marking our stitch marker. Two, this is the last 24th. So just continuing another round with black for round 11. Marking my chain of round 11, marking my stitch marker, and there we go. So again, we are in the last one. Let's learn from our previous changes. So let's leave it with 2 stitches on our hook. So it is round 12 that we are starting now. Here we will be introducing decreases, and again we will follow a pattern of 2 single crochet and 1 decrease. This is the first time we are going to start with a decrease, so it's good time to learn another new thing. So what were we doing to change colors? We were cutting a small tail and saying thank you to our black. We'll just use it for a bit of decoration from now on. And we will hold our yellow yarn. Hold the short tail from behind and pull a loop. And once our loop is ready, we'll go inside and we will pull our black tail and the yellow tail and tie them to each other. At that point, in order not to lose the loop I pulled when I'm making the knot, I prefer to leave my hook inside this loop when I'm doing this small knot behind. So again, there we are ready to make 2 single crochet and 1 decrease. One, marking the first stitch, marking 12. So remember how I was counting the increases. I'll do the same for the decreases. So this is 1, 2. When I'm making the decrease, I'll say 3 and 4. and then I will close all these three. This is a standard decrease. So I will teach you another decrease, which is called an invisible decrease. I usually prefer to do that. So let me show you in detail how this decrease works, and then we will undo these, and then we will continue with invisible decreases. Now, when I'm making a decrease, let's do another decrease here for the coming two, so that we see it one more time. When I'm making an decrease, I go inside the first chain. I pull a loop. I don't close it yet. So I go inside the next one. I pull another loop. And for these two chains and the one on my hook, I will pull all these three together. This is called making a decrease. So instead of working separately on the two stitches coming, you just pull loops through each of them, have 3 loops on your hook, and pull them all at once to come up with a decrease. So this is a great example of how we make our work to come to a narrower point. Now, instead of making this decrease, we can also prefer to make an invisible decrease, which is a bit tricky, but it really looks very neat on our work. So let me show you. I will undo these 2 decreases that I made. So here I'm going to show you how to make an invisible decrease. I learned it after so many toys that I made. So once I learned it, I'm not gonna leave it behind. I really do this invisible decrease every time. So when making an invisible decrease, you know that we have a V here. I only go in the first loop in the front leg of the V. I don't pull a loop yet. I repeat the same for the stitch that's right after that. So here on my loop, I have 2 loops. On my hook, I have 2 loops that are from 2 stitches, but I'm only holding the front leg of these V's. And of course, I have the loop which should be on my hook. It's already here. So then I'm going to pull my loop through these 2 single crochets in front of me. So now I have 2 loops on my hook, and I already captured 2 stitches with that second loop on my hook. Then I'm going to make another twist with my hook and close these 2 stitches together. This is how I'm making an invisible decrease. Let's do it one more time. So I'm now starting my invisible decrease. I have 2 stitches ahead of me, and I'm only going under one leg of the V that's on the outside, one after the other. This is 1, going back to the next one, and this is 2. So now I have 1 leg of each single crochet, and I'm going to pull the yarn underneath of both of these legs. Once I have 2 loops on my hook, I'm going to close them all at once. So this is my single crochet. So the trick is, don't bother these 2 chains when you are making your next stitch. Go further and find the next single crochet ahead of your work, ahead in your work. So now this is the one that I'm going to make a single crochet, because I need to follow my 2 single crochet and 1 decrease pattern. So this is what I will do. So this is my first single crochet and second single crochet, and let's do another invisible decrease together. Find the next 2 stitches. Go underneath only the first front leg of each of them, one after the other. Pull your yarn underneath both of them, and now close both of them. So you made your next invisible decrease. I have 2 single crochet ahead of me, 1 and 2, and the 3 and 4 I catch only the front leg of each of them, take my yarn underneath both of them and close that stitch as my invisible decrease. So another 2 stitches, and now holding the front leg of both of the stitches, pull my yarn behind and close them. There we are. One, 2, 3 and 4. Close 3 and 4. 1, 2, 3 and 4. Great. We did our first row of decrease. Before moving to row 13, let's prepare our wings. Let's prepare the eyes of the bee, and then we will be ready to close it after 2 rounds. Because after 13, 14 will be, more close to go inside. It's a good time to fill it at row 14. So let me open up our pattern and put it here for the wings. Leaving my little bee aside, now I'm taking a fluffy, a bit sparkly yarn for the wings that I choose. In the wings, we are going to make 6 single crochet in a magic ring, and we are going to make an increase. And finally, we are going to attach them in between the 2 black stripes that we have. I think this is a good spot. We will just follow our example. So let's start with our magic ring. Make a circle and tail. Hold it from the intersection and hold your yarn. Plug your 2 fingers inside. Close the circle. Try to keep the order of tail and circle. So if tail is in front, keep the tail always in front of the circle. So go inside, pull your loop and complete a chain. Now it's time to make 6 single crochet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. So let's see how difficult it is to see fluffier yarn. So I would definitely suggest you to start with regular yarn when you are first starting. So let's borrow our stitch marker from here. Mark our first stitch. As you get experienced, you don't need to see it in very much detail, but even my eyes are struggling and in that fluffy feeling. But the result looks amazing. So I'll pull the tail and close the circle. One, and let's mark it. And in the same stitch, I'll do the second one. 2, 3, and 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, here comes 11 and 12. So this is the wing. I'll pull a long tail so I can sew it and cut it. So I'll just pull the extra. There we are ready with the first one. Let's do the second one. Another magic ring, making a circle and tail, keeping the circle and tail together on one side and holding my working yarn. 2 fingers inside, go inside the loop and close your chain. Now let's do our 6 single crochet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Holding our work, pull the tail, always pull it gently. This should always drop from behind. Here is my first single crochet. 1, 2, I'll just count 12. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. Pull the tail, cut your yarn, and pull the other end of the tail. So let's take our bee. First let's put the eyes in. So this is behind, this is the back side, and here are the eyes. Let's put it in between lines 3 and 4. So this is 1, 2, 3, and 4. So I would prefer to put the eyes here. Okay. Now let's place the second one. 1, 2, 3, and 4. So this looks like a good spot. Okay. Do you like it? I think it looks cute. So let's turn our work and put the safety stoppers. I'm pulling it fully, but you don't need to pull it all the way like this. I just want to show you how it works. So we have these plastic pins that goes behind the eyes, and once we squeeze it, it has a nice feeling that it fits inside. So taking the second one for the second eye, press both the pin from the ends as well the eye on the other side. So there we are. So let's turn our work around. And here are our eyes. So let's also do the let's do the wings. For the wings, somewhere around here is nice, so I'll go inside. And I think I'll align it with the eyes. I think it looks good to me. If not, we can undo and do it again. So I will pull two ends. Or maybe I'll pull, yeah, I will pull one end here. And the other end right behind there. So it's, yeah, right in the next row, I will pull the other one. You can also use a yarn needle here. For the fluffy one, I would prefer to make it with the crochet hook. So there we are. The first wing is here. Let's do the other one. And then we will tie them from behind. So I will align it with the eyes and go ahead and poke the hook from inside. And take one of the threads behind. And I'll do the other exactly from the row behind, right after that. Here we are. This is one, and this is two. Now I will just again pull the two threads of the first wing and tie them to one another. Okay, and the next one. And I'll just put all the extra inside, like a filler. Okay, there we are. So we will just continue and finish up with the closing. So we are starting with round 13. Here marks our first stitch of round 13. Marking the marker, counter, and there we go. So round 13 is one single crochet followed by a decrease. So we will immediately start with our invisible decreases. So holding one loop and holding the other one, pull our yarn through and close. So followed by a single crochet, followed by another invisible decrease. 1 and 2, and pull through, close 2 of them. Single and decrease. Single and decrease. single and decrease. And another single and decrease. 1 and 2 and close both of them. So there we finish round 13. It's a good time now to fill because we are already very close to the finishing. We have our filler. Let's pull a long loop here so that at least we have more security not to miss our chain, not to untie the chain. So we will just poke our filler in. You can go as stiff or as fluffy as you like. Honestly, I prefer not to fill in too much. So I prefer to do the filling in it with a nice equal feeling along the bee. So I think this gives me a good feeling. I even didn't use all of the material I intended to. So here I'm going to count 6 decreases. I'll not continue with the stitch marker because counting for 6 sounds easy. And I'll mark it for the 14th round. I'm coming to the end. This is all invisible decreases. 1, sorry, I have a tendency to pull the work towards me when I'm working on the decreases. So I'm here again. 5, 1, and this is the last one. 1, 2, pull the 2 and close. So here we still have a bit of an opening, but it's okay, we can manage that. We'll pull a longer tail. We will cut our yarn and pull the working yarn back. And here I'm going to take my needle and now I'm going to go, these stitches are moving in the clockwise direction. So I will go underneath the leg of the V of the next stitch and pull my yarn. And I'll continue doing the same for the other stitches. And I'll pull it. Once I pull it, you'll see I'll have a nice and even closing. Maybe I can repeat it for 2 more times. If you try to make a knot, it's going to be visible here. So I prefer not to make any knots when I finish my work. Instead, I find a nice open point, a nice corner, and I'll do it behind this stitch over here, and I'll just pull the yarn to any opposite side. Maybe I'll pull it through the nose this time. So this completes my work from back, and I have a long nose here. You don't need to live with that. So pull it as much as you like without cutting your work. Cut the extra, and just by making it back fluffy again, you'll simply lose it. There we are. We lost it. So what are we missing? We are missing a tiny little mouth for our little bee here. So let's make it together and then we'll make the antenna. I'm taking my black yarn, I'll cut a short piece and thread it through. I'm starting it from behind, coming to the front. This is the starting point of my mouth, and I'll just disappear with the yarn inside my bee. So this is going to be my cute smile face, and I'll just go inside here, go to the head, and right in the middle of its eyes I'm going to come out. Where is my needle here? I would prefer this spot. Okay, so I'll pull my yarn. It looks funny, isn't it? Okay, there is our little smile. And with the extra that I have here, I'm going to cut for its antennas. There we are, our little friend is finished. Thank you for watching, and I hope you learned some practical tips to make it by yourself next time. Thank you.